All right, here we go again. Man, the emails just don't stop coming in. I get emails literally from around the planet. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty cool. Actually, pretty cool to see the reach that you can get out there on your own to the people, and bypass all the most of the powers that be who can possibly control what you're sharing and control who you get to talk to. Right? It's pretty cool. But anyway, anybody ever been down to Louisiana? I've been through Louisiana. I spent a lot of time in Alabama, a few other southern states, and there's a town there called Bellachassee. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. Bellechasse. Bellachassee, Louisiana. Now, there's a man that lives there, and his name's Steve Mudge. And it's his birthday today. And his son emailed me back, I don't know when it was, I think it was earlier, mid-July. And he wanted me to wish his father a happy birthday on our YouTube channel here. I guess his dad's an avid listener, subscriber, and luckily I found this email in time. And Steve, I'll wish you a happy birthday as well, along as with your son, Steven. So I hope you had a great day, and there you go. Happy birthday, man. I hope your family's spoiling you down there today, and you have a good day. And here we go, on with the next email. Listen to this one.
The smoke is missing my face perfectly. It's getting late. 9:15. Pretty light out. Pretty light out up in the north at 9:15. Alright, listen to this one. Alabama again. Hello, Steve. I'll try to keep this as short as I can. I grew up in Alabama on my family's 64 acres of land. It's been in my family for 3 generations. We are outdoors people that have always hunted our land for food on the table. It's how we live. My grandfather always told us to stay out of the hollow past the rock quarry. Don't hunt there or you will die. The hairy man won't come out of there unless you F up and go there. My grandpa never bullshit anyone at any time. I'm 59 and I spend most days in the woods. It's part of me. I've seen these beings through my scope and even up close one evening. I was on top of the mountain one evening before it started to get dark. I saw the hairy man walking into their cave with a large buck on his shoulder. Crazy. 2 grown men would have trouble carrying this huge Bama buck. This giant had no problem with it at all. The daddy of this family is over 7 feet tall and weighs over 400 pounds. It seems like a shit story, but on my kid's life, it's true. My daddy told me not to go there, and I've told my sons not to go there. It's the only way for us to stay alive in our land. They've got about 10 acres, and we've got the rest. My grandpa told me they were there long before he was born. Those effers are not apes. They are people, and they have been in hiding for hundreds of years. Only one of us has gone in there. It was my grandpa's brother. He was ripped to pieces and left in a tree for them to find. My grandma told me about it when I was a kid. It's not just a BS story to scare the kids. It's a true story that we take very serious. I've got grandkids that watch your channel. They ask you don't use my full name. Their friends wouldn't believe it, and kids are so cruel to each other. So thank you for listening to my story, my friend. I will send you another one soon that happened to 2 of my brothers. Keep up the good work and tell our stories. More people need to know what is going on. Thanks again. And you left your name, I'll leave your name out of respect for your request. And thank you for sharing your story. It's not common, but unfortunately, there's numerous stories of people, having violent encounters with these things. And I haven't had one yet. I don't think I know anybody personally that have had a violent encounter. I don't think. There's been some pretty shitty things done to people in the past in BC. Yeah. But there's, actually I screenshot a comment from one of the videos on the YouTube channel, and it's along the same flavor. I'm going to read it here, all right? And it was from David Parkle. And he left a short comment that caught my eye, which obviously I don't see all the comments, as there's frickin' millions of them, literally. And he left a comment. It said, F them all and feed them beans. I lost my brother-in-law above the timberline 22 years ago. They said, don't go in this territory, the locals, but he did. Now gone for decades without a trace after 20 days of searching by air and ground with dogs. They found his tackle box and fly rod, and nothing ever since. The urban dwellers live and die in the concrete jungle. Their minds don't comprehend. Bless you, Steve, because those who spent time in the woods easily relate. The rest is fodder. And there you go. There's another one with a not so cool outcome. I mean, obviously everybody's going to say, well, prove that it was a Sasquatch that did it. And I don't know. I haven't a clue. Prove it didn't. I don't know. I'm not really too concerned. I'm just absolutely concerned about everybody having a fair crack at knowing what's going on around the world in the forest and the mountains. We all deserve a fair crack at knowing what's going on. And that's all this is about. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I don't know. That'd be pretty wild to figure out who had what land, and how would you determine those borders? You know what I mean? If you did have like you say, you got a group of these damn things in your property, and you're okay if you stay on this side and they stay in their corner. But I think it'd probably be pretty nerve-wracking to figure out where those boundaries were, right? I mean, it's going to be a little bit by trial and error, right? I mean, how do you know? I know some of the places I go to, the hair on my body will turn to wire, and I'll start feeling anxious, and then I just go with it and I leave. I just let it go that day. I just leave, and then I'll come back another time, and I'll do my thing and go hunting and hiking in the dark, as usual, until I don't feel too cool about it, and I'll just leave again. So that's how I do it. It's a crazy topic. It's a crazy topic. All right, sun's going down. I'm definitely feeling tired. Tent's looking pretty good. Here we go. Let's share another email. Steve, I believe sometimes in our life, people are drawn to certain places and people to teach them about their life journey, and your channel is one of those places. Thank you for what you're doing. And I know you hear that a lot, but your humility and grace, not to mention your servitude, is world class. Not sure if you'll ever read this, but you say, every story matters. I love your channel and all the help you give to those who are hurting and terrified. I've contemplated writing you for a while now, and that was even before my experience. I say experience because at this point I have no idea what else it could have been other than one of these beings. I'm 48 years old, so I grew up in the 70s, and I first got hooked into Bigfoot at a very early age after hearing a story my mother read to me out of one of those gossip tabloids you get in the grocery store. Then, when Steve Austin, Lee Majors, who was a $6 million man, had an episode of Bigfoot in it, I was sold. And I remember that episode when I was a kid, and it scared the shit out of me. But anyway, back then there really wasn't a lot of information to find since there was no internet, no YouTube, no Facebook, etc. So I kind of just put it in the back of my mind and went about my life. Always believing, but just not something I would think of about on the daily. I've been in the pharmaceutical industry for over 20 years, so I'd appreciate if you would not use my name if you ever decide to read this on your channel. I work for a very large company, so I need my career to stay intact. I've always been the lover of the great outdoors and grew up near a pretty good-sized forest in the suburbs of Cincinnati, Ohio. In college, I would frequent the Daniel Boone National Forest, also known as the Red River Gorge in Kentucky. For years, climbing, hiking, rappelling. You get the picture. I've never been afraid of the woods. Also, nothing has ever happened to me like this that scared me so bad and has freaked me out ever since. Even right now, the sun is about to go down and I'm nervous to go outside. Real nervous. I purchased a home and lived in a relatively urban suburban area while starting my professional career, so the camping trips, hiking, and rock climbing all but stopped. I recently sold my home after 14 years and moved north to a rural community, about an hour and a half from the city of Cincinnati, where my wife and I could be near her horses, since she is a horse trainer. We are horse people. She more than me, of course. She leased a horse barn about a quarter mile down the road where she runs her business and takes care of and trains about 15 very expensive horses. Our home sits on a 60-acre farm where 2 acres were cut out for us. The house sits next to a 2-lane road that is somewhat busy but really nothing after about 9 p.m. We are surrounded by corn and soybean fields. At the edge of the fields, there are woods with a pretty decent-sized creek running through it. Although this sounds very rural, the funny thing is that we're about 6 minutes away from a Starbucks and other larger big box stores. That is exactly why we took the place, because it's in the country, not so far out you have to drive half an hour to get your groceries. Anyways, I wanted to paint the picture of what the setting was before I tell you about the events that took place in late June of this year. My wife and I went to her family's lake house for a week just to get away and get out, since we all been locked up for months because of the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, I've been working from home since late April, and I've been used to going into an office every day and have so for years. So I'm here all the time. It's beautiful, so I don't mind it at all. We recently got about 18 chickens because my wife has had them before and it's the perfect setting for them. We had a coop built and everything. While we were away, we lost 5 chickens. This is where it all begins. Those effing chickens. It's like having a bait box on your property. Anywho, we came home. I looked everywhere for signs of what could have happened to those 5 chickens. The friend that was watching them while we were gone said he found a raccoon in the tree that was adjacent to the coop, which he had to shoot and kill. So we just assumed it was raccoons, right? But where were all the feathers? I mean, 5 chickens and nothing? Nowhere on our property or in the surrounding fields. About a day later, I saw a raccoon go up into the pine tree near the coop when I was closing it up for the night. Got the .22 out and got not 1 but 2. There's a third up there as well, but managed to nestle itself between the trunk of the tree where it splits, and I couldn't get a clean shot. After that, we were on the lookout each night for raccoons. Keep in mind my wife and I are both smokers, and we don't smoke in the house. On these hot summer nights, we sit in our SUV with the air on and watch movies on our phones. Netflix documentaries, chick flicks, and I, of course, watch your channel on YouTube. My wife always thought I was silly and was more a believer in aliens and Bigfoot. Funny you should say that. Ha! Okay, I got one word. Air conditioning in the house. Try that. I'm just kidding, man. So about 2 nights after we got back from the lake, we were doing our normal evening routine in the SUV, and one of the 2 motion sensors lights that I put on the front and rear, closest to the pine tree, kept going off. I had a clear view of them through the side view mirrors. The back of our SUV faces the coop. So naturally, I get out and always have my Glock 19 with an attached light on me. I proceeded to investigate. Nothing. Nothing in the trees, and nothing around the coop or surrounding fields. I forgot to mention that next to the chicken coop is a small aluminum-sided box that we store things in. When it's clean, I can actually get my car in there. Oh, small aluminum-sided barn that we store things in. When it's clean, I can actually get my car in there. I'm telling you this because on that barn is a large light that comes out at dusk. Comes on at dusk. This will make sense in a little bit. The second time the spotlight went off again, we got out of the car to look, and again nothing. I at the time said to my wife that I was going in the house to get us another drink. Yes, we were drinking, but nothing too excessive. Just a normal 2 or 3 drink night. As I returned, my wife was standing in the grass closest to the cornfield adjacent to the chicken coop, and she said that she heard something very large tearing through the cornfield. She also said it smelled really, really bad, like a huge raccoon. Now, when she said something big, she compared that sound to her prize stallion, who was 16 hands high and around 1,100 pounds. Remember, my wife does not believe in Sasquatch. I myself did not see anything, nor did I smell anything. Either way, I make her feel more at ease. I fired several shots with my Glock into the cornfields. At that time, the light of my gun stopped working. This is odd because I've only used it a few times. It was basically brand new. At almost the same time, the light that is on the barn flickers and goes out. Now, this is an electric light that was only about 6 or 7 months old. Also, it's a fluorescent bulb and supposed to last for like 10 years. I know you always talk about your sixth sense, but I swear my mind wasn't even going there. I chalked it up to coincidence. At this time, my wife is getting very uneasy and nervous. Remember when I told you she is a horse trainer? Well, she's more like a horse whisperer. I've seen it in action. It's amazing. She calls herself an intuit. I proceed to tell her it's nothing, and we go back to the SUV to resume watching the movie. At that time is when I said to her, Babe, I'm sure it's not a Bigfoot. Don't be nervous. And I kind of jokingly said, we need to get nervous if we hear whistling or a stone is thrown at the car. And sure enough, as soon as those words left my mouth, we heard a dink of a stone hitting the rear window of the car. We both looked at each other and said, did you hear that? We immediately jumped out of the car and grabbed her .22 rifle out of the back and with guns drawn started looking around. Her .22 has a light on it, and keep in mind, my gun's light has stopped working. We look all around and still nothing. Thinking that maybe something fell off a nearby tree, we got back in the car. No less than 2 minutes later, dink, again. This time it hit the roof of the car and bounced off onto the hood. We now get out, go into the house to get the AR-15, and she grabs her .223 bullpup. My rifle is tacked out with all the toys on it, including a very good flashlight, a laser, a red dot scope. At this point, it's starting to add up to me now. My wife, the non-believer that she is, starts blaming me for watching all your videos as if I summoned in a Sasquatch to our house. I convinced her to get in the SUV one more time, so if it happened again, I could try and get a position on it. Sure enough, 2 more rocks were thrown. We jumped out of the car and now are standing on our porch, guns drawn and scanning the entire perimeter. At this point, my wife is shaking, saying, F this, F this. A second later, a stone is thrown up on our concrete porch. This is now 5 stones. I immediately think to myself, it's on the effing roof of the house. So I jump up the steps and shine my light upwards, and nothing. I return to the porch and 1 more stone is thrown. This time closest to me, and now finally I'm scared shitless. I realized in that moment what exactly this was. I, the believer, didn't want to believe. I told her to get in the house, where she jumped in bed and put the covers over her head and started saying, this is not happening, this is not happening. I locked all the doors and shut all the blinds. I stayed up for the next hour and a half, but nothing else happened. The next day, my dog and I searched the area for any signs of prints or broken corn stalks, but it had been in the 90s for 2 weeks, and the ground was hard as rock. We didn't talk about it at all until later that evening. I could tell my wife was trying to block it out. About 10 p.m., we both convinced ourselves we either had too much to drink or there was a very reasonable explanation for all of it. In the back of my mind, I was thinking, that is one of these effing beings, and even if we had all the firepower, it would have ended us before we knew it hit us. We did the car party again in a way to see if it would happen again and to know if we had the stalker. That night there was nothing. No motion lights being tripped, no stones being thrown. The third night we were more at ease than we have been and decided to watch a movie in the car again. Everything was fine, no incident, until having about 20 minutes left in the movie when my wife got the shivers. I said, are you cold? She said, no, something's not right. Again she shivered, and I asked if we could go inside to finish watching the movie inside. I said yes, and as we were walking to the house and onto the porch, an effing stone was thrown right in front of us as if it came over our back. So it was thrown from behind us. We ran in the house and things have never been the same. It's been quiet for the last week and no more stones, but I swear that something's watching us. It's not every day and night, but every now and then. I have since put wires with glow sticks and motion sensors around the house and the areas near where we suspect something might have been while throwing these stones. I kept the last one that was thrown, in fact, and it sits on my dresser. This sucks. I love it here now, but we both feel violated. Like when we were someone's toy, or we offered amusement for something that at any time could have killed us. If it happens again, I don't know what I'll do. What can we do? We've never heard any screams, howls, or tree knocks of any kind. However, we have coyote all around us. You can hear them yelping in large packs in the tree lines every night. Both nights this happened, there were no coyotes yelping. We've both been really stressed over this, and I know we are both just scared. I know this isn't one of the sightings or stories or prints or anything like that, but you said every story matters. I know they are real now, and my wife does too. We listen to your channel now a lot. I'm sorry for this being so long, but it actually feels good to get this out. I've only told a handful of people, and they think it's very, very weird. I always have my gun on me now, day or night, and I'm always on guard. We had a fire the other night, and I really couldn't enjoy it because I had that feeling of being watched. What the F? Anyways, thanks for listening, and I'll not be upset like those other ass clowns if you don't get to my story. Keep doing what you're doing and stay safe. You, my friend, have balls the size of church bells, and I take that fearlessness into account every day now. I hope and pray that this is just one or two that were migrating through our area up north. I pray that's the case. Tell me, Steve, that it was an angry raccoon that was throwing stones at us. There is no way a person would take the chance with two people with semi-automatic weapons who were scared, and I just don't want it to get any worse. It's a lot different when you're possibly living it, or it has happened to you. Be safe, my friend, and thank you for everything you do for all of us. Corey Ziem. Ziem? Zime? Sorry if I pronounced your last name wrong, Corey. There you go. More rock throwing stories. And it's kind of funny, my partner Gavin here, coincidentally his friend that lives where we live was just in a place called, recently, I don't know how long ago, he was in a place called Goldbridge with a bunch of friends, 4x4ing, and it's very remote there, and a shit pile of stories coming from around Goldbridge. And these guys were all in a cabin, everybody's in the cabin, and the one fella heard rocks getting thrown on the roof of the cabin, and it freaked him out so bad that he just got up first thing in the morning, jumped in his truck and booted home. And everybody was in the cabin accounted for when these rocks are pinging off the roof of the cabin. Well, I don't know what to say. I mean, you can keep emailing me and keep me posted and informed if shit picks up speed, and maybe we can get Scott Carpenter and someone else in there or on it to help and see what they can do to help. There's no shortage of people asking for help in the rural properties, that's for sure. But it sure sucks ass to have the shit scared out of you, especially at home or in the middle of nowhere like I am today, where you love to be. Nothing scary happened here. Actually, the first night we were here, Gavin said he heard two screams in the night that actually woke him up off in the distance. I didn't hear them, but I kind of hope it happens again. We can hear it. Maybe it's something weird. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. But that's all you can keep doing. Keep living your life and be aware and go with your intuition. You got to go with your intuition. You have to. That's key. Is go with your gut instincts. If your wife's feeling nervous and off, well, there's a reason for it. You got to pay attention to it. But anyway, look at that. There's a little bird snuck up behind me. Maybe the camera got that. But anyway, here we go. See if I got it in me to read one more maybe. Then it is bed time.